Well, we've just seen the concluding second round heats of the Boylesports Irish Greyhound Derby, and to tell you the truth, I'm no closer to knowing the outright winner. How about yourself, Kevin?
Well, I hope he's in the kennel at home, but no, look, it's wide open. There's big guns gone this week, massive guns gone this week. It looks as though it's the youth coming forward. I was talking with Frank Kieran on the stand, and he made a very good point that over the last year or two, it's been sort of the older heads that have come back. Good news, we all knew well about. Sonic was there for a number of years. This year there is an unknown factor to it. A lot of the top dogs in it are young greyhounds starting off their careers, and with young greyhounds you're going to have spills and thrills, and that's exactly what we're seeing. Stone Park Noel here tonight, definitely a big player, young dog coming forward, so it's all to play for still.
Indeed. We'll go through the heats. Of course, we start at the start. The opening heat tonight was a bit of a heartbreaker for me. I was on Ballymac at big prices, and for all the world she looked a likely winner, but Panther, your own Panther, did exactly as his name would suggest, and he pounced late, got up in the final stride. He's a monster. There's no question he wants further in time. I would say after the Derby, it won't be too long before he goes over a bit further, but tonight he was awesome.
Yeah, look, he's a serious engine in there, and in those 80 pounds. He's not as good to the bend, he lacks the yard to the corner. With a dog here a couple of years ago, Group Skater, very similar profiles. Can be decent from the trap, lack it to the corner, but they're just so hard to knock out. I was talking with BASSEL earlier, if he turns fourth or close to a challenging position down the back straight most nights, it's going to take a fair one to stay in front of him. He'd give you heart palpitations if you backed him to win a race because of the trouble he puts himself through, but I was happy that he took the smirk off your face tonight in the opening heat, alright. Yeah,
Ballymac ran her heart out, in fairness to her, from a great draw in trap one. We must mention Knockmitten Dickey. He is dizzy going around Shelburne Park. He loves the place, and he ran a brilliant race for Sam Trainer. He's only beaten a neck and 3 parts into third.
Yeah, and it's funny because I actually met the woman parading Trap 2 before the race, and she was sweating before the race even started, and I never seen someone as happy. She told me she'd party for a month if she qualified, so I'd say the party will start early tonight.
His name is in the draw. Now on to Heat 10, and this was a return to form for VAHSEL Bay. She had been a little disappointing in her last 2 starts. Last week she got held up around the 3rd and 4th bends when making her challenge. Tonight she made sure of it early. She got to the front for Barney Mooney, and once doing so, she was never going to be beaten, and in the end 29.59. It was a fine run, and it was females first and second here. Blueberry Diva chasing her home. She showed pace on the back.
Yeah, look, if I was a punter myself betting race to race, I'd have lost everything on 6 last week. I really thought I thought she'd really win last week. I thought she'd win quite easily. Disappointed last week. I said to Barney when he came off the track tonight, much better, and that's the bitch we know. She popped out, game over from the get-go. 4 ran a big race, Blueberry Diva in second, showed a lot of back straight gears, and 3, Dunsalem Mike. Well, if there's a stronger stayer, we talk about Panther coming home. This dog comes from another parish. The celebrations over the far side when this dog qualified as well, it was similar to the race beforehand. I think I heard Sean mentioning that if he could only start, he'd win the Derby. So he's a serious dog. You won't want to be drawn against him if he's close at halfway or off the last bend. He's a powerhouse home, but VAHSEL Bay much better, and how we know her as well.
Yeah, a comfortable victory for VAHSEL Bay in the end. As you said, Dunsala Mike, I'm looking forward to seeing him over further in time. Moving on, the next heat tonight was Kilgraney Master. He had charged the traps in his last 2 starts. I had seen Larry Buggy having a few quid on the last 2 nights. I hope he was on tonight. He was biggish prices during the week. He has astounding early speed. The key to victory tonight was he trapped level. Just trap level. He doesn't have to trap in front because he has astounding early speed. He ran a much better corner than McRazzle, who was in second, which was good for those that had backed Kilgraney Master because he's not the stoutest of stairs, whereas McRazzle is a good finisher, but Kilgraney Master 8 clear of halfway, and he just coasted home. It was a joy to watch if you were on Kilgraney Master.
Yeah, I know, you were joyful. You were on, and I have to tip your hat to you because I really fancied the one there. I thought Kilgraney would go up in front. I thought Troopy's Expert might just go up level or move off. He completely missed the kick. I think he actually ran better tonight than he's ran in any other race or trial around here, but he just walked out. He just completely missed the kick completely. Ran on so well and was closing right to the death and just missed out in qualification. I thought McRazzle, just moved, didn't run the first bend well at all, and Kilgraney Master was gone. Brilliant for Thomas Buggy. Delighted for him. A couple of his stalwarts picked up a couple of niggles lately, and I was delighted to see him running really well for Thomas. Laskin Varney out in trap 6, done well to qualify in 29.69, holding off Droopy's Expert close home, but yeah, tip me hat to you there, you got that one right.
thankfully. Lascar and Vardy, incidentally, qualifying there in third, denying Drewby's Expert. If they had met in a race in England during Lascar and Vardy's time, I dare say Drewby's Expert would have been about a 1-6 and Lascar and Vardy would have been double figures. But such as Greyhound racing, that's the way it happens, and Lascar and Vardy has found a bit of form since his return to Ireland. We move on. The next heat was Trap 5 Clonbrien Hero. There's not much that needs to be said about this fellow. Like, he already has, well, any amount of classics in his bag. Tonight he was at his professional best. Wasn't the fastest winner by any stretch, but he's a professional. He knows how to win. Tonight he flashed from Trap 5, and to be honest, it was never really in danger. A good run again by our lovely Tune. 20-1 last week. He wasn't a sight at that price tonight and ran well in second.
Yeah, there's certain dogs you just don't care when the clock comes up. There's just competition dogs. He's one of them. It doesn't matter whether he does 30 seconds. The clock is immaterial. You know, when you put him in the boxes, it's like pressing a button on a machine. He's just that consistent. If he gets a clear run, he starts, he stays, he's back straight pace. You don't win what he's won and not be like that. He's a brilliant competition dog. I don't train him, but I'd say his injury record is very small. He seems to be in nearly every competition. He's always in the mix at the end. An ideal dog to train, an ideal dog to own, and brilliant for connections. Our lovely Tune, a big price winner last week. Brilliant to see going into the hat again. Urban Jet, brilliant for Reggie. I was talking to him over beyond. He told me he nearly had only one dog in training, so I'm delighted to see Reggie with a qualifier again and going into the third round. But Clonbrien Hero, time doesn't matter with him. He'll still be there come the latter rounds.
Yeah, Clonbrien Hero actually went out in the second round last year, I believe. I think the middle draw or the middle seating is definitely helping, because he used to take that step right from boxes, whereas if he's out that bit further, it's not going to make that much of a difference. On now to the next heat here, and this was heat 13. Unlucky for some. It wasn't unlucky for backers of Whoops Jack. He went odds on or odds against in places during the week. He was even money in places for a brief moment tonight. If you took the even money, I think you were a fairly happy camper after about 2 strides. Notably, before this race, the bell went 2 or 3 times as a warning. There was a cat on the track. I thought perhaps of all the dogs that were going to be affected by it, Whoops Jack was the one, but he flashed from boxes, made every inch of the running, and his derby continues. 29.45 tonight. He has gone from being a dog in the early stages of his career, a bit inconsistent, frustrating, to being perhaps one of the most consistent dogs in training.
Yeah, and that's it. And I've said it on this, I think, last week as well, that for me, he's still underrated. It's mad. He was a little bit frustrating in his early days, but I don't know what more he can do. He's a superstar. Brilliant for Larry O'Shea, great supporter of the game. Brilliant for Peter Cronin. He's just an awesome dog to be connected with. I'm definitely one of his biggest fans. He's brilliant early pace. He's scandalous early pace. There's probably no dog in the competition as good to a corner as he is. I think he is the fastest to the bend. He was a finalist in the English Derby this year, and who knows, he could be a finalist this year. I wouldn't rule him out, because you definitely don't want to draw him. You really don't want to draw him with his early.
Incidentally, behind him, we have to mention 2 fine displays. Newhall Missile, one of the most improved greyhounds in training. He showed massive pace down the back straight. Like, this dog won a graded 5.75 here at Shelburne Park a few weeks ago. He's really taken to the place. Won well last week, and an even better display in defeat tonight. Showed fine pace down the back. And Coulivanny Jerry in his 6th start. He's only in October 16. Like, reality, he's a puppy derby dog. He's not a derby dog, but tonight he showed a lot more drive into the corner. He went up the inside of Blue East, knocked him out of the competition, showed fine pace down the back straight, and who's to say the penny's still dropping with him. For Noel here, who is not a shrewd man with a dog, he could get involved in the latter rounds yet.
Yeah, he definitely. Look, I'm a big admirer of the dog in 3. He lacks a yard to the corner, we know that, but his all-round ability is blatant for everybody to see. There's no question he's still learning. That tonight only his 6th ever race. He has only 1 win to his name, which tells you all you need to know. He had a good run here, winning that race. They thrown him into the Derby to take a chance. He's now standing in the 3rd round. He's got massive pace, and as you said, Newhall Missile for John Brown, a dog that's really coming into good vein of form. Keep getting good draws, we'll keep his name in the hat.
Yeah, heat 14, the betting would suggest it was going to be a dead match between Cabra Hurricane and Magical Bale. Of course, the presence of Holy Cross Lad in the middle made things a little bit more complicated than that, but as it happens, the two of them crossed the line together. You said Whoops Jack is the best early speed in the Derby. I'll dispute that every day of the week. I think this Cabra Hurricane is potentially the fastest dog in the country to the 3rd bend. I think he's an absolute aeroplane to the 3rd bend. The fact that he was picked up by a non-stare tonight in 29.77 and he was 4 or 5 clear of him to the 3rd bend would suggest he was doing an awesome run to the 3rd bend, but that he walked home. The 550 is definitely stretching him, but he's very much a dog for the future. But before then, he's a dog that'll play a major part in the Derby, because there's not too many going to lead him if he gets the right draw.
Yeah, no, you said it last week that he didn't appear to be staying that strongly, and it's clear 550 does really stretch him. Reminds me of a dog that Owen had here a couple of years ago, Farlow Blitz, just awesome, but probably not getting to 550. He's the same. Yeah, it will be some race himself and Whoopshack to the third bend. Two brilliant early pace runners. Magical Bale had to do it tough tonight, and I tipped him up anti-post as one of my selections, and I'm delighted to see it. We know what he does in front. We know what he can do when he hits the ground running. We know when he dictates the pace. He's very hard to beat. But tonight he showed, put a pacemaker in front of him. He can come, he can pass those, he won't throw it into the towel. So I was much impressed. And I just want to mention Barra Gig in 6. That dog at the third bend showed more pace for me going into the bend, as much anyway, as the leading 2, and lost 3 to 4 lengths, was checked up, appeared to hit the rail and then lost his ground, set himself again off the last bend and came again to qualify. If you watch it, I think he's only beaten maybe 3 lengths at the line, and for me lost every yard of that below at the third bend. Didn't see that run coming. Massive performance from Margaret Bolton and Tommy Bolton runner. I one that I'd keep a close eye coming home strongly again in the latter rounds as well.
Yeah, but going back to the front too, it's easy to forget that, you know, we associate Magical Bale obviously with Kevin Hutton across the pond, but he's back and he's trained by Pat Guilfoyle, and it was Pat Guilfoyle picking up Pat Guilfoyle in front. He has 2 really fast greyhounds there. You know, I would normally have said Magical Bale, not a stout stayer, but to show what he did tonight would suggest that, yeah, perhaps he is the better chance of the 2 in the Derby going forward. But again, 2 dogs could play a big part in the Derby going ahead. Moving on, Heat 15, the penultimate heat of the round, and this was another one for early speed. Of those left in the Derby, perhaps Ballyanne Sim is one of those best equipped to challenge the likes of Cabra Hurricane and Whoopshack to the corner. This dog has awesome early speed. This was a race packed with early dash, and yet he led easily. And once you lead perhaps a field of non-stayers, it doesn't matter how well you stay yourself. He did 29.88, which suggests he's not staying because he has massive pace to that third bend, but he did it, and I know there was a few shrewdies on at decent prices.
Yeah, well look, all 6 of them needed to get on the bunny in this. They all needed to dictate the pace to show their best attributes, and when that is the case, generally whatever leads will win. One had the best draw. When you have that field of early pacers, you'd love to be on the rail because you can dictate it at the corner, and that's the way it worked out. Bakery Lane for Ollie Bray, I'm sure they'll be glad just to get through. That dog has a much better performance than he showed tonight when he's dictating the pace. Pity for Bucco's Dream, just not the same Bucco's Dream that we saw last year. Just things haven't gone right for him over the last 12 months. Whatever it seems to be, just he's not what he was. Now, what he was an exceptional greyhound. He took the Derby by the scruff of the neck here last year, but he's just not found that form since. Boy Hero for Pádraig Campion will be delighted to qualify. Another one that will probably line up at fancy odds in the next round, but has a chance of qualifying yet again.
Yeah, Eamon Cleary and James Robinson be hoping for an inside draw again for Ballyanne Sim, because if he does get on the bunny, he may get run out of it, but he'll probably still qualify. He's a very fast greyhound, as I said, to that third bend. I wouldn't like to be on his outside and trying to get around in front of him. Heat 16, the final heat of the round, and a dog that you certainly was very impressed with. You were very impressed with in the opening round, Stone Park Noel. He's only June 16. He's trained by that man, Michael O'Donovan. The way he went about it tonight would suggest he's a dog that knows what the game is about now, and he's very much a player in this year's Derby. Stone Park Noel. It was over from 3 strides in.
Yeah, I don't think he was fluent. I thought his first stride, I think he dropped his hind legs when he came out. I stood at the far side. His early pace is ridiculous as well. He's another one of these. There seems to be so many of them in this Derby. I was more impressed with him tonight than I was last week. He's more than a player for me. He's a massive player in it. If I could take one dog out of the Derby and add him into the kennel, this is the dog I'd take. He's just has that profile that I look for. Curly, as I said, had Loghill Blake. This lad changed a different seeding on him, all right, but he seems to just do it the same way. He's brilliant to the bend. He hits every yard of it, and he's a big dog. You don't realise how big he is when he's galloping. I seen him at the far side. He's all a 77-pound weight. If he goes up to the corner and you're on his outside, there's only one place you're going, and that's off the bend. I think he's a massive chance. Still, the dog I think is if he's not short in the top 2 or 3 in the betting, I think he'd be a value pick, because like that he had an unknown profile coming in, but for me he's been paw perfect so far, and he's a massive chance of going on to win it.
Another good second for Liam Dowling. He had a number of second place finishers tonight, but he'll take that. Coulivanny Pet, she seems to be around forever. That said, she's not 3.5 yet, and what a star she has been. She's not all that far out of season, but she ran a blinder in defeat, and back in third, another bitch, Drewby's Floral for Pat Buckley. Incidentally, Pat Buckley lost Drewby's Davy in this race. Just things didn't happen for Drewby's Davy. He's a dog since his Kirby. Just hadn't had enough racing. Perhaps just things came too fast for him. He's one to keep an eye on perhaps later in the year and next year. But it's all about Stone Park Noel, and then the 2 ladies, second and third, Coulivanny Pet and Drewby's Floral. They all go into the draw. We've 48 names left. it's a competitive derby.
It's very much a competitive derby. All these dogs that we're talking about with the big names, they're all young, and it's brilliant to see, because I think these are going to be the ones we'll talk about for the next year or two, and it's going to be fierce hard to pick a winner. It's going to be fierce hard to win, and whatever dog does come out and win it will definitely have earned the stripes.
Indeed, they'll certainly have earned their stripes. There's no such thing as a bad derby. This year's is anything but. It's a fantastic derby. 48 names left, and from now on, it's all Saturday nights. Next Saturday, all 48 Greyhounds will run on the same night, and we'll definitely see the derby winner in action. But, as we said, we don't know what it is. Join us next week for more brilliant racing in this year's Boylesports Irish Greyhound Derby.